Hi everyone, and welcome to our exhibit. We have examined the inquiry question, how does socioeconomics influence educational success? Throughout our exhibit, you will see images, articles, organizations, and research that summarize and examine the question, how does socioeconomics influence educational success? Many of us as educators have experienced the effects of wealth and poverty on the students in our classrooms, and we would like to share with you the information that we have compiled, both from our research and from our personal experience. As you can see to the right of my text, there's an image here of a classroom that looks kind of destitute and boring, unmotivated, and those are the types of feelings that we are discussing when we talk about educational success and the influence that socioeconomics can have. How does poverty affect education? There are various factors that can determine educational success, socioeconomics being one of the prominent ones, when we think of how children are affected and influenced by their outside lives while they are sitting in our classroom. Based on research, chronic stress has been proven to be a detrimental factor in education. Children can experience chronic stress when their parents are struggling with money, working constantly, not able to support their educational endeavors, or possibly uneducated themselves. Children of poverty often become unmotivated and unenthusiastic because they are not receiving the proper support at home. Then, teachers may find it difficult to stay motivated and motivate their students because they are struggling with 20 to 25 children who cannot pay attention due to outside influence. So as you can see to the right of my text, once again, we're showing an image of students who are sleeping through class, who are very unmotivated, are possibly bored, just don't want to be in class. And again, those are the feelings that we are talking about when we talk about how chronic stress can be a detrimental factor in education and the success of our students. Another significant factor in educational success is what we call the achievement gap. So what is the achievement gap? The achievement gap refers to the significant gap in skill patterns that measure cognitive ability as well as vocabulary, listening comprehension, and other indicators of acuity. Fryer and Ferguson suggest that the achievement gap begins by about age 2. At 1 year old, children of all races score the same based on skill patterns, whereas by age 2, Black and Hispanic children begin to score a bit lower. So part of this has to do with socioeconomic status, because preschool has been determined to be an important factor in a child's future success. This bleeds into our idea of socioeconomic status because it touches on the topic of educational inequality among wealthy and poor children. So children whose families can afford preschool and daycare can end up being about 8 months academically advanced in comparison to their peers who cannot afford to attend preschool or daycare. So to the right of my text, you can see a preschool classroom where children are sitting and learning. They're engaging with other students, they're engaging with their teachers, they're engaging with their surroundings and their toys and various educational tools throughout their classroom. So this has been determined to be a very important aspect of a children's of the determination of whether a child will be successful in their education, because they learn foundational educational tools in preschool. And kids who don't have the opportunity to go to preschool do end up being behind their peers. So does socioeconomic status also affect extracurricular activities? Research by Covey and Carbonara show that students who regularly participate in extracurricular activities generally come from a higher socioeconomic background. There has also been a connection to non-cognitive skills that also depend on a student's socioeconomic status. Covey and Carbonara believe that involvement in extracurricular activities improves skills like task endurance, independence, following directions, and working collaboratively. All of these skills are very useful in a regular classroom as well as in classes like gym, where they're playing sports and doing other activities, or after school activities that are considered extracurricular activities. So like I mentioned before, students who regularly participate in extracurricular activities are generally from a higher socioeconomic background. That is based on research. And so that means that students from a lower socioeconomic background are not developing those same skills, like task endurance and independence, as well as following directions and working collaboratively. Now, on the other hand, MOVE is an organization that was born in the 1970s, which stresses a more primitive way of living that includes eating raw meat, living together in small communities, strenuous work, and rejecting the system. So the founder, John Africa, was raised illiterate and created MOVE as a response. They reject formal education systems, yet they've won legal cases using their own self-taught lawyers. So this is a great example of how socioeconomic status may not always determine educational success. These are people who have rejected formal education, are mostly illiterate or possibly not illiterate, but aren't very educated, and they have taught themselves to be lawyers, and they've actually won legal cases without having formal education. So this movement is a great example of how formal education and socioeconomic status may not always determine success. While we've mostly examined the negative effects of socioeconomic status, we thought it was important to share an example that shows the other side of educational success. We have so much more that we would like you to see, so please enjoy our exhibit and leave us your own thoughts and feedback. We hope you enjoy. Thank you.